Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Morning Jox, the July 1st edition. Here on your Tuesday morning, Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell, appreciate y'all making us a part of your morning each and every weekday here. And it's a great day for a lot of reasons. Damian, not only is it July 1st, which, great month. Shout out to July 4th. Coming up this Friday. I know a lot of you probably getting out of town, have some big plans coming up, but it's also Bobby Bonilla Day.
Oh yeah, for what was this year 18, 19 or
We have 10 years left.
10 years left of 31 installments?
So it was 25 years.
20, okay.
And so it will run until 2035, but he gets a cool $1.19 million today from the New York Mets. So shout out to Bobby. Big day for him each and every year. You also have Auburn as they kick off their new 10-year apparel deal with Nike. So sorry, Don, all your Auburn Under Armour gear is now collectible.
Right.
So a lot of you
vintage, that's what we'll call it.
Yeah, vintage. Exactly. But now their deal with Nike kicks off today, which I'll be honest, I think it's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of look, everyone has their favorite brands, but I think there's certainly certain brands that carry some weight with them. And Nike is certainly at the top of that list, I think, when it comes to sporting apparel. And, Under Armour done a great job with a number of universities. I know Auburn, very grateful for their partnership with Under Armour for the last decade plus. But now it's a new era. Is Auburn and Nike officially entered their agreement today. It kicked off today, July 1st. Was the first day of that deal, and it will continue on through 2035, much like Bobby Bonilla's deal with the New York Mets. So an exciting day there for Auburn athletics as they are now officially a Nike school. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this one for a long time because this was announced last year that it would be happening, and now the day has finally come. So special day there for Auburn athletics as they officially become a Nike school. If you are interested in more of a deep dive on that, you can check out on Three Man Front. We actually had an interview with Clint Richardson yesterday, who runs an Auburn uniform database website. And he essentially has gone back through and kind of charted all the different combinations and really just the history of Auburn uniforms. And we had a great interview with him yesterday, kind of getting his thoughts on this new Nike deal and what it'll look like for Auburn. So you can check that out wherever you get your podcast if you want more information on that. But Auburn, officially a Nike school today. And just like that, we also have what's becoming a daily trend on this program, Damian, and that is Alabama recruiting news. Because
again,
there's more, just like there was yesterday and the day before and the day before. But anyways, yes, you had more recruiting news for Alabama yesterday as they stay hot on the recruiting trail. They pick up a commitment from a 2026 wide receiver, Owen Cabell. He has committed to Alabama out of Nashville, Tennessee. So again, this is, maybe a little odd to hear, but he did choose Alabama over not only Illinois, so sorry, Burt Bielema, but Vanderbilt. So good to know that Alabama maybe taking some L's on the field, but can still pick up the win on the recruiting trail against the Doors.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But he wants. I see the long game. I think he's playing the long game.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. So he's 6'3", 205 pounds, runs a 4.4 40. So he's a guy that's kind of gotten a lot of attention here lately, and somebody that I believe the belief seems to be that he will be a 4-star guy pretty soon. As his profile starts. Well,
yeah, he's signed to Bama.
He's gonna be 5. He's gonna be 5. Yeah. But you got to give it like a couple weeks, just couple week buffer, and then that's when they start getting bumped up in the recruiting rankings. But all kidding aside, yeah, another nice pickup there for Alabama as they get another wide receiver in their 2026 class, and we await today. Now you have another wide receiver in Brian Williams, not Ryan, Brian Williams, who's another 3-star kid that Alabama is pretty high on at the receiver position. He's going to make his decision today, so the good news could continue to roll on for the Tide today. And then tomorrow you have another receiver, this one a 5-star though, and Cedarian Morgan, who will make his decision between Alabama, Auburn, and some other schools. So the potential for some more big news for Alabama as well as Auburn. here in the next couple of days. But yeah, Alabama, they land Owen Cabell, a 6'3", 205-pound wide receiver out of Nashville yesterday. He's a 3-star kid in the 2026 class. So Alabama continues to stay on a hot streak as they continue to boost up their class, and they are now in the top 10. And at this rate, they will be in the top 5 before too long. But again, we'll give you the same caveat that we give every day. It's a long time until December, and these kids actually sign, but certainly not bad to go ahead and get a head start on some of these guys right now.
Absolutely. Anytime I see Courtney Morgan on Twitter when he has like some GIF, I know that Hayes Fawcett is he will have a tweet up shortly after that with the graphic. And I mean, again, shout out to Alabama for everything that's been said about, how he was going to struggle, how Kalen DeBoer was going to struggle recruiting. He ain't never been down to the South. He's still getting the best players up there. And like we said, it's becoming a broken record. The A is going to sell itself. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. It's going to sell itself, and the tradition continues.
Yes, absolutely there. So that's what's going on the recruiting trail. So another big get for Alabama yesterday. We will see if they continue on that streak today as Brian Williams, another Alabama target, expected to announce his commitment later on this afternoon. A little more news going on in the college football world. We were telling you about this story yesterday, but we had some developments made throughout the day, and that was BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff, who, if you missed the initial story yesterday, so he had basically made it clear that he was going to transfer out of BYU, and the reason for this is that he had a civil lawsuit charged upon him, essentially claiming sexual assault and that he had raped a woman while a member of the BYU University and of the football program. And so through the civil lawsuit, while they were working through that, essentially he had to acknowledge that, hey, I had consensual premarital sex with this woman, which violates the honor code there of BYU students. They're not allowed to do that. And so he was going to be suspended for at least 7 games of the upcoming season. So essentially he decided, hey, it seems like, I guess, my best case scenario here is I'm going to miss over half the season. So I'm going to decide to go and enter the transfer portal. Well, then we found out yesterday that civil lawsuit that had been charged, that was then withdrawn. So that is now gone. We don't know the details of that. Obviously, your first thought is, okay, well, maybe they settled and he paid some hush money. But, it's also possible on the other end that they just decided that maybe that there wasn't a strong case there. And so they decided to move on. So whatever the cases may be, that lawsuit has been rescinded. So he's going to enter the transfer portal. He's not going to be at BYU anymore. And it seems like the legal side of this was resolved privately. However, that ultimately got resolved. It seems that it has been resolved. And now the question comes, what would happen next with Jake Retzlaff? And I mean, again, I still think there's probably a lot of schools out there that are going to look at this as probably not going to touch that situation and just let it be. It is unfortunate, again, depending on what actually happened, we may never know the actual details. You just hope that this doesn't ruin a young man's life if it didn't warrant that, I guess, right? Because I guess we'll never know. That's between them. But if this was a situation where maybe he didn't do the things that he was accused of, hopefully that gets cleared up, and we'll see what the future holds for him. But again, we had Jake Hatch on 3-Man Front yesterday, who covers the BYU program, and he said to keep an eye on Notre Dame. So just leave it at that.
Just leave it at, yeah.
Another school where you have heard stories of players being told not to do similar things. So kind of an interesting.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting
move. And then to go from Mormon to Catholic, seems like
there's a lot there.
Right. It seems like it's a lot of football yet personal decisions being made. But, one thing you can't deny, that he was talented, had BYU competing there for
11 games?
Yeah, for a potential college football playoff spot. But, it's just there's going to be some changes. There's going to be some changes, and and again, we may never know all the details, but, if there – and I look at it from this situation. If it came out or if it comes out that it was consensual, then okay, I don't think he deserves. I don't think he deserves like the death penalty to for a lack of terms as far as his playing career. But it is a stain. Like it is a stain.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of now he has to make a decision. He's going to be playing football somewhere else. And if you're Notre Dame, you're kind of looking at it as, okay, he's a veteran guy. He's played a lot of football, played at an extremely high level. It's almost like a plug and play situation. Same thing you saw with Riley Leonard when he transferred from Duke to Notre Dame. It's okay. Well, now we don't have to build the basics anymore. It's a guy that's played. All he needs to know is just, okay, this is what we're running. This is what the system looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put us in the best position moving forward? So, good luck to him moving forward. But it's going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we will keep you up to date on what's going on there with the BYU quarterback situation. But that is the latest as it stands right now. So we'll see. Maybe this is kind of it, and we, maybe it's something we revisit next year when the transfer portal reopens, and that's an opportunity. But, I think let's just be honest, there's a lot of teams out there that could use an upgraded quarterback play and are probably going to be willing to have a conversation. So we will see where that one ultimately goes. But one more piece of news that I wanted to get to, because this kind of flew under the radar, I think, for a number of people, but I know for Damian and myself and people maybe closer to our age, this is something that it got me very excited. So we all remember a handful of years ago now when they announced that the college football game was coming back for EA Sports, and it was this huge deal where they finally got the NIL taken care of. And there's so many people like us that grew up playing the NCAA college football video game, and that being a part of how you all kind of fell in love with the game of college football, alongside watching it in the fall, obviously, and going to games and things like that with your family. But yesterday, it was announced by EA Sports that they are also going to be bringing back their college basketball video game. So this isn't going to happen until 2028. So it's just like with football, where they're going to announce it ahead of time, but now they're going to have to go through the process. You got to get all the schools on board. You got to go through the process. Well, I guess in basketball, it's going to be a whole new crop of players in 3 years, except Zakai Ziegler. I'm sure he'll be in the game. But anyways, they're going to be bringing back EA college basketball. And so that's obviously great news. Have great memories playing that, just like the college football video game growing up. But then you also got, I guess it's kind of confirmed at the same time that apparently 2K Sports, who makes NBA 2K, they are also working on a college basketball game. So it appears that we are going to have 2 new college basketball video games coming out in the next couple of years, one from EA Sports and one from 2K, to kind of go head-to-head and compete, which I'm a fan of that because that's what I remember growing up, right? You had Madden, but you also had ESPN 2K, but you had NFL Street. You had all of these different kinds that kind of competed with each other. And I'll be honest, I felt like they were kind of better back then because they had to be, right? Because there was actual competition. So I know for a lot of people that was a cool little news story yesterday, but it does look like we're getting college basketball games back, just like college football. And I thought they did a really good job with the college football game last year. So I have pretty good faith that they'll do a good job with basketball.
Yeah, well. I'm 100% in agreement with you too. And again, it's like there's a generation of kids that didn't get a chance. Like, think about it. They had to go 11, 12 years without the latest college football game, and as soon as it hit the shelves, it was one of the highest selling games out there. And I think that for us, especially, it's very nostalgic, but it's also like, man, this is how you get some people that may not watch college athletics, but now they're big on video games and they'll play it, and then they'll find the correlation of, oh, this is fun. Let me see what it looks like in real life. So I think you're tapping into another market, you're tapping into another fan base and bringing it back to, oh yeah, so like when March Madness rolls around, there's gonna be even more brackets being filled out because it's like, oh, I played with Miami of Ohio as their head coach, and now all of a sudden they're in the NCAA tournament or something like that. So, like I said, I think it's tapping into another market, continuing to grow the brands, and like you said, to have competition between games, it's okay, well, I like 2K better. Oh, I like the EA Sports game better. But either way, you're playing it and you're getting involved. So I think this is beneficial for everybody.
Absolutely. So, yeah, exciting news there. As again, it's going to be a few years, looks like 2028, before we get either of those titles. But certainly good news to see that a lot of these games that I know a lot of us have fond memories of from our childhood seem to be coming back for a new generation, as Damian said. And, our us. It's for the kids, but it's also for us. Let's be honest. So some more exciting news there. But we want to have some fun with y'all today. It is the first day of July. It's a short week here. We're going to be out on Thursday and Friday, but uh, before we know it, we are going to be at SEC. I mean, 2 weeks from now, in fact, we will be in Atlanta going through day 2 of SEC Media Days. And as we start heating up and we get closer and closer to college football season, Damian said, "How about on July 1st? Let's do some hot takes. Let's start kicking off the summer, really get into college football with some hot takes for the SEC season." So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So Damian's gonna give you his hot takes. Then I'm going to give you mine, and then we will get yours on the text line as well as the phone lines, 205-834-9450. If you already have some or you want to wait, hear what me and Damian have to say, maybe let that inspire you, or you could say, God, that's the most ridiculous hot take I've ever heard, and do the exact opposite. Whatever you want to do it, we want to hear your hot takes. We will give you ours. That's all coming up next on the Tuesday, July 1st edition of Morning Jox. 621, welcome back in. Morning Jox, Conrad and Damian here with you until 7 o'clock when we hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning. And we're about to get into some hot takes for the upcoming SEC football season. So it's the first day of July, and football season is getting closer and closer, 2 weeks away from media days. And so we're going to go ahead and start stirring it up a little bit. Now, granted, again, these are preseason hot takes. So we have not seen anything. We don't know how any of these teams are really going to look. We have all the same questions that y'all do about certain quarterbacks, certain coaching changes, what have you. We have all the same questions. We all want to see the same stuff. But just based on our heart of hearts. And this also, I will say this, for Damian, this might be very telling about who he's kind of narrowing down his team of who he's going to root for this year, because I have to imagine, if you've had some hot takes, maybe you've spent a little more time looking into those fan bases and things like. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to draw some parallels here, but we'll get into it. Our SEC hot takes. So Damian will start us off. He's going to tell us what his hot takes are. Then I'll tell you what mine are, and then we will hear from all of you wonderful listeners.
I will say this: none of my hot takes have swayed any of my future decision making when it comes to my fandom this year.
Okay.
Just disclaimer.
We'll take your word for it.
Absolutely. But my hot take, my first one: the SEC will have 5 teams in the college football playoff. And to be honest, it doesn't feel like a hot one, but it does show that I think the SEC will be the dominant factor, will still continue to be the dominant conference. And if this committee really looks at how the schedule plays out and the teams that I think could be in that conversation and will be in that conversation, I think it will end up being 5 SEC teams in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I don't think that's I guess it would be a jump to go from 3 to 5 teams in the playoff, but I don't think that's the craziest idea in the world. Did you pick 5 teams that you expect to be? I just didn't know if you were going for the bonus points of,
no,
of actually naming the teams.
No, I did not put the 5, but I do have a lean
towards
5 teams in the SEC.
Oh, but you feel like if you give those 5 teams, and that's gonna
then a couple of my other hot takes, you will start to
okay,
you'll start to see a trend.
I got you. Okay, so you have 5. You think 5 SEC teams will get into the college football playoff. So are yours? So are we getting hotter for each take that you give?
Yeah.
So okay, we're okay. So that was one.
That's one. Number 2, the SEC will end its Heisman Trophy drought. I think the winner of the Heisman Trophy in 2025 will come from the SEC. You can take that information however you'd like. Quarterback, running back, receiver, who knows? But I do think the Heisman Trophy winner is on an SEC roster right now.
Is it a quarterback?
If you had to ask me right now, yes. I do.
Okay, so are you not going to tell us your thoughts on this one either? Does this play into your?
I will tell you
next
this
hot
one
take?
because I have it in parentheses.
Okay, all right, yeah.
It's somebody that I give you hell about, but I am starting to sip some of the Kool-Aid.
You're gonna go Heisman for him,
John Mateer.
Now that's the hot take.
Which also leads me to hot take number 3, that Oklahoma will lead the SEC in total offense this season. The Oklahoma Sooners will lead the SEC in total offense this season.
Wow. Okay.
And you know how much I love Lane Kiffin, I love Josh Heupel.
Uh-huh.
I think Oklahoma, the closer we're getting to kickoff, the more I am really starting to like this team. I really am. You started it off. I blame you for a lot of this because
hey, I know Greg's pretty he's a believer too.
Right. And then when you go back and look at the numbers he had at Washington State, and you look at the last quarterback that was there in Cam Ward and what he did, and he jumped to Miami. Had they not lost to Georgia Tech, had they, not really played around in the regular season, he could have been hoisting the Heisman Trophy. But I do think that John Mateer and his ceiling that he could potentially reach with the Oklahoma Sooners, on top of defensively where Oklahoma has been, I don't think it's going to be that big of a drop-off. I think the offense is going to be the one that takes the step up, and it goes back. I'm not going to say I do have a stronger feeling that they're going to look more like the Baker Mayfields and the Kyler Murray years on the offensive side of the ball with John Mateer and Jay Nod and, a healthy Deion Burke as well. So I think the pieces that they have are going to put them forward. So I have Oklahoma leading the SEC in total offense this year.
Okay. I mean, that would be I like it because that is a hot take. That would be a major jump because I'm looking. Okay, so this is last year. So if they wanted to, so first off, Oklahoma was 14th in total offense last year in the SEC. So if they wanted to be on par with what Ole Miss did last year, and they led the SEC in offense last year, they would need to average 194 yards per game more than they did last year and score 14 more points a game.
They could do it. They're going to do it. Why do you think they went after John Mateer?
That would be.
Don't jump off the ledge now.
Impressive. I'm not. I'm just. That would be impressive.
Oh, boy. My next hot take. Again, this is going to be very telling.
Mm-hmm.
The Arkansas Razorbacks will not lose a game at home. Just take a peek at their schedule. I didn't say that they were not going to lose a game. But I do not think they lose a game at home. And yes, I know who's on their schedule at home.
I mean, I'm more surprised, I guess, about the Notre Dame one than, like, you could talk me again. Like, I mean, whatever, this might make people mad. Like, you could talk me into beating Auburn. You could talk me into beating Texas A&M. I mean, Notre Dame's good.
They are.
Okay, all right. I mean, you're a big Taylor Green guy, though.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
I like it. Okay, that is certainly bold.
I appreciate it.
You have one spicier than that?
I do.
Okay.
This is going to make you very upset. And I will say this is probably the hottest one that I have.
Okay.
And it's more of like a shot in the dark, but like I kind of look at the stars aligning. Things could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be telling of years past of where my fandom was, but I have the Tennessee Volunteers
in the playoff.
No, not losing a game on the road.
Interesting.
You see what they have on the road. Just take a look at their road schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, obviously, we're all thinking of the one game, but I mean, they got to go to Florida too. That one is not. Again, if you can get past Alabama and do something you haven't done in quite some time, I think that
same with Florida.
I could see that one.
And it's the expectation level is like Tennessee will be competitive, but they don't expect them to be as good as they have been. And y'all know how my love for Josh Heupel. And I just think that he's going to find a way to get it. He's done it at UCF with less talent and found a way. Now he's got some dudes. Maybe they are the dark horse in the SEC. But my final hot take, one of the projected starting quarterbacks in the state of Alabama will be benched before the season's over.
Yeah, I don't think that's a crazy hot take.
Which one do you think will be first?
The one to the east.
So you just think he's a head case? You just think that he's...
I don't know. I don't think he's a head case. I just think I think that's a more likely scenario.
Okay.
Do you agree or disagree with that?
I'm not going to disagree. But
I think there's a path for both of those situations.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one of the projected starters going into the season.
Well, and I respect you because you specifically said benched. You didn't throw in the caveat of, oh, well, maybe someone will get hurt. And then that.
I said benched. It will be performance-based.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It will be performance-based.
Okay.
But that is those are my hot takes for the 2025 season.
I like it. That was that was a lot. So I only have 4. So okay. I respect that. Damien has certainly had some great hot takes there. We see a lot of you chiming in with yours on the text line at 205-834-9450. So keep those coming, and we will get to those a little bit later in the show. But I guess this means that I'm up next. So I will share my hot takes for the upcoming SEC football season. I do have one for Auburn. I do have one for Alabama, as well as some others sprinkled in there. So we will continue with the SEC hot takes. You're listening to Morning Jox. .35. Welcome into the Tuesday morning edition of Morning Jox. Appreciate you being alongside us. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell here with you, giving you some of our SEC hot takes for the upcoming college football season. So Damian just gave you his. I will share mine with you here in just a minute. But if you're just now joining us, the big news this morning is today officially kicks off Auburn's new 10-year apparel deal with Nike. So congratulations, Auburn fans. You are now the owners of a lot of collectibles with your Under Armour gear that you've been collecting over the last number of years, but you are now a Nike school. So, big day for Auburn athletics. And then Alabama continuing their hot streak on the recruiting trail as they picked up a commitment yesterday from three-star wide receiver Owen Cabell out of Nashville. He chose Alabama over Illinois and Vanderbilt, but he's a 6'3", 205-pound receiver with 4.4 speed. They're coming to Tuscaloosa. So that keeps you up to date on what's going on around the college football world with both Alabama and Auburn. And now we will continue on with some of our hot takes that we had here. So quickly, if you missed it, Damian shared his hot takes, and he said he thinks that the SEC will have 5 teams in the college football playoff. He thinks that an SEC player will win the Heisman Trophy, and he threw out the name John Mateer. He said Oklahoma will lead the SEC in total offense this upcoming season as well. He also doesn't think that Tennessee loses a game on the road, which would include at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And he said he doesn't think that Arkansas loses a game at home, which would mean that they are beating Notre Dame, Auburn, and Texas A&M. Did I miss any, Damian? Is that all of them? Was that your last one with Tennessee and Arkansas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So those are Damian's hot takes for the upcoming SEC football season. And I have 4 of them. And just like Damian, I will share mine in ascending order, right? So the first one I'm going to give you is probably the least spicy. And then the last one is, I don't even know what we would do if it happened, but I'm going to throw it out there. All right, so number 4, I'll get it out of the way, whatever. Everyone can call me a homer, whatever they want to say. But first off, I have a prediction about Alabama football. And my hot take for Alabama football this year is that not only is Ty Simpson going to take Alabama to Atlanta in the SEC championship game, he is also going to finish in the top 10 of the Heisman Trophy voting. He will get Heisman votes. I'm not saying he'll be a finalist in New York. I'm not saying he's going to win the trophy. But I went and looked, and, you look over the last couple of years, and last year in particular, right, you look at a guy like Curtis Rourke and what he did at Indiana, and that's a guy who had 29 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, threw for about 3,000 yards last year, played for a good Indiana team that made the playoff, and he finished in the top 10 of Heisman voting. So if you can get that kind of a season, something similar to that from Ty Simpson, and if you have Alabama and Atlanta, presumably they're also going to be in the playoff, right? Because you're one of the top 2 teams in the SEC. I certainly think that a return to form for the Alabama offense, there'd be a lot of love to go around for him. And who knows, maybe, Ryan Williams or somebody, steals those Heisman votes away from him or kind of steals that attention away from him. But I like everything I've seen and heard from Ty this offseason. I think he's going to be a much needed improvement over Jalen Milroe. I'm not saying he's as naturally talented as Jalen Milroe or is naturally athletic, but I think he will be a better quarterback for Alabama and get Heisman votes.
I agree. I don't think it's necessarily
I don't think that one's crazy.
That spicy.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
I can see it happening.
Number 3, Alabama's good and their quarterback gets Heisman vote. It's not crazy, but that's why I also threw in there. I do think Alabama plays for an SEC championship this year. All right, number 3, I had to throw in something Oklahoma. You knew it was going to happen. I didn't know Damian was going to steal my thunder with the Oklahoma love. But I think Brent Venables is going to win SEC Coach of the Year.
Hey!
And again, it's an award where, Kirby's won it a lot. Okay, maybe they give it to Kalen DeBoer if he gets Alabama back to the Bama standard. Maybe they give it to Steve Sarkisian. But I look at, Shane Beamer won it last year and deservedly so. But he took a team that didn't have super high expectations. Now, I certainly think Oklahoma has higher expectations going into the year than South Carolina did last year. But they have a brutally difficult schedule. They overhauled their entire offense. And I think he deserves credit if they go out there and let's say they win 9 games against that schedule. I certainly think he would be deserving of winning SEC Coach of the Year. And I really am high on Oklahoma, like Damian, was kind of teasing me about. And so I wanted a way to throw them in here because I do think they are going to be much improved. And they, in some form or fashion in award season, that will be reflected from the SEC, whether it's a coach, whether it's John Mateer, maybe winning SEC Player of the Year or Offensive Player of the Year, something like that. All right, number 2. This one's a little bit spicier, maybe. So I think that yet again, we will have an SEC team be the last team out of the college football playoff. So just like Alabama was this year, I think that'll happen again this upcoming season. but I think it's Georgia.
Whoa. Okay.
I think it could be Georgia. I have questions about Gunnar Stockton. I have questions about a lot of quarterbacks. I have questions about Ty Simpson. I have questions about Jackson Arnold as well. I have questions about Arch Manning. But I just think that for Georgia, defensively, I expect them to be good. But we know they're overhauling wide receiver, but that position's dropped off for them a little bit. Tight ends dropped off. They're in that same situation that Alabama was kind of in for a couple of years, or the last couple of years, where you're still really good. You have a lot of talented players, but you don't have the elite players at every single position like you did for so long. And I think you pair that with not having elite quarterback play again, and maybe that's where, Georgia goes 9-3 and they're in the conversation, but you have one loss. Maybe it's to Ole Miss again or somebody like that where you just go, man, this doesn't look like the same Georgia teams. And so they find themselves on the outside looking in. I have one more.
Oh, boy.
I don't even want to say this one.
Say it. We're here for it.
I understand that this is going to sound absolutely absurd, and that's why I left this one for last. This one might be too spicy. But there's something that hasn't happened in this state, Damian, in over 25 years now. The last time it happened actually was 1999.
Okay.
And that was the last time that Auburn had a 1,000-yard receiver.
Many have been close.
Many have been close. Last year, Keandre Lambert-Smith, very close. And we've talked a lot this offseason about how Auburn might have the best wide receiver room, not only in the SEC, but maybe in the country.
I'm there.
My hot take is Auburn has 2 wide receivers flirt with 1,000 yards.
Hey!
Now, that might mean that you have one with 1,000 and one with 900. But I think there's a very real chance that if everything goes as it would in Auburn fans, dreams at night, right? Jackson Arnold is incredible. The Hugh Freeze offense finally works out. Eric Singleton comes over. Cam Coleman's taking the next step. That would be my hottest of hot takes, is that Auburn flirts with having 2 1,000-yard receivers in the same season after not having a single one in 25 years. So those are my hot takes. Sit with them for a second. Y'all keep sending yours in, 205-834-9450. We see you on the text line. See you on the Courtesy GMC phone line. Keep sending them in. We'll get to your hot takes next here on Jox. 6:48. Thanks for tuning us in here on Jox, Conrad, and Damian with you till 7 o'clock when we're going to hand you off to McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. They're with you from 7 to 10, then from 10 to 2, three-man front. We will be out at Social Taco today, a very patriotic theme today, so hope you can come join us from 10 to 2. Myself, Pat Landrum, and Molly will be with you, and then Paul Feinbaum, of course, coming up after that from 2 to 6. And then you have your Atlanta Braves, who will be back in action tonight, taking on the Los Angeles Angels there in Atlanta, as they hope to kind of right some of their wrongs here, as they've lost 4 or 5 lately. So Braves really need to get things back on track, hopefully tonight, which you can hear here on Jox. All right, if you're just now tuning us in, we are now we've been giving you some of our hot takes for the upcoming SEC football season. Damian gave you his, I gave you mine, and now y'all have been sending y'all's in as well. So we're going to go to, first we'll go to the phone line. We've got Bo in Haleyville, who's been waiting by patiently this morning. Bo, how we doing? We have some hot takes this morning?
Absolutely. Got 2 of them, guys, and I'm going to make them quick, and I hope y'all are doing well. Thank you for allowing me to listen every morning, guys.
Absolutely.
Number one, that I don't think this should be a hot take, and you kind of stole my thunder when you came out with yours. I think Ty Simpson is going to carry Bama possibly to the national championship. We forget that he was a 5-star. We forget that he's waited his time. Everything that I hear coming out of Tuscaloosa is he's not flashy, but he gets it done.
Yep.
So I think Ty Simpson's going to be like, they're going to be like, why did he sit behind Melrose? Well, I think that was because of a coach change, and we didn't want a lot of turnover and turmoil coming in. Just imagine if DeBoer would have came in and said, I'm benching his starter and I'm putting in this backup. So,
no, I'm right there with you, Bo. All right, what's your next one?
The next one is, now this is a hot take. I don't think that last one should be, but it is because of the way the narrative goes. I don't think Arch Manning finishes in the top 3 in quarterbacks in the SEC.
Hey.
You've got too much talent. Lagway, Nussmeier, Sellers, even Simpson. I think Manning's going to struggle his first year. I'm not going to say he's bad. I just don't think he finishes in the top 3 for quarterbacks in the SEC.
All right, Bo. Hey, appreciate the call this morning, man. Thanks for listening. Great hot takes there. So Bo thinks Ty Simpson's going to lead Alabama to a national championship game, and he thinks Arch Manning's maybe a little bit overrated going into the season. So I like the hot takes there, Bo. And now we'll go to the courtesy GMC text line, where a bunch of you have also been sending some of your hot takes in, 205-834-9450. Alan chimes in. He says, Florida wins the SEC. Side note, PG would be very happy. Yes.
Extremely.
Yes, he would, Alan. You're not wrong about that. So, all right. Florida and DJ Lagway winning the SEC. That is a spicy one. Let's see. We have Zach, who chimes in. He says, I actually think Auburn having 2,000-yard receivers is less of a hot take than most of the other ones that y'all mentioned.
Okay.
Again, it hasn't happened once. In 20, let me put it like this. If that happened, Auburn would have as many 1,000-yard receivers this year as they did in the history of their football program.
It's wild, man. But again, think of just the modern era of football and where we are and the talent that they have in that receiver room. It's not far-fetched, but that also means that maybe the years of, running back is going to be a little bit down this year. They're going to be throwing that thing around.
I think it's fair to say maybe it's more likely this year than it has been in some time, but it would be a heck of an accomplishment. There's no doubt about that there. Let's see. Greg says, Damian, pull the Scooby-Doo mask off of Conrad. That's got to be Don under there. No, believe it or not,
it's Conrad.
When Auburn's got things, positive things to say, I'll be happy to say positive things about Auburn. Let's see. We have somebody who chimes in with, all right, they have a few. They say South Carolina is going to make the playoffs.
Okay.
LSU is going to have a losing season.
Brian Kelly's fired.
By losing, do you mean like under 500?
Right. That's going to be tough.
That would be wild. Vanderbilt goes winless in conference play.
Ouch.
And Texas doesn't make the CFP.
Okay. Well, that means there's going to be some chaos in the SEC this season.
That's a little spicy there.
I like that.
Let's see. We have, let's see. Someone says, someone's pushing back against Oklahoma. They say, how did Oklahoma improve their offensive line from last season? John Mateer's going to be running for his life. It's not going to matter.
Well, Jackson Arnold ran for his life and to the tune of 24-3 against Alabama. It don't matter who you got. Just give me 5 offensive linemen that can get in somebody's way and let John Mateer and those boys go to work.
Let's see. Jeremy chimes in. He says, there will be no gravedigger, no 4 overtimes. Auburn will beat Alabama at home and possibly Georgia as well. That's my hot take, War Eagle.
Hey,
thank you, Jeremy.
I like it.
Appreciate you chiming in. Fanboy says, my hot take is Lenora Sellers has a slump this year. Also, the quarterback play in the Florida State-Alabama game will turn the heads of the college football world.
Oh, he thinks Thomas Castellanos is about to go out here and ball out. That's what he's saying.
I guess so. I guess so. Eric in Adamsville, his hot take, I don't think this is a crazy hot take, but he just says Ryan Williams wins the Biletnikoff.
He'd have my vote.
Well, actually, that is a hot take because Jeremiah Smith is the greatest football player ever. So I'm sorry, Eric. You're right. That is a hot take because let's just give that guy every award already. Let's see. Alex chimes in. He says, Woo Pig likes Damien's prediction that Arkansas is going to beat Notre Dame, Auburn, and Texas A&M at home this year.
They have other home games too, Conrad, like Alabama A&M.
Yes. They also have the 3 that I mentioned that they have to win in order for your hot take.
They got Arkansas State too.
Is Butch Jones still there?
I think so.
Good for him. Joseph chimes in. He says, Gunnar Stockton's going to be a top 3 quarterback in the SEC by the end of the season. The SEC is getting 5 teams in the playoffs. Georgia has its first 1,000-yard receiver since 2002.
Okay.
I
see a lean there. Big Georgia guy.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's see. FJF going outside the SEC. He just says North Carolina doesn't make a bowl game. That's his hot take.
With Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson leading the crew?
Whew.
Come on,
that'd be something. And we'll end with this. John says, as a father of 3 daughters and 2 sons, I wish they would do a women's NCAA basketball game. My daughter's game, and the same reasoning, is it would encourage more of their friends to actually get out and play the game. I think that would be a good idea. I agree with that, John. That's it for us. Macro and Kublik is next.